You can call me Chris.
It's Chris? Okay, Chris. You have been talking about companies creating lifetime customers. What should company actually do right now to achieve this?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to sort of think about what are we trying to achieve as a business, from a strategic point of view. What's the ultimate that we're trying to accomplish? And if you think about it, we use the expression lifetime customers. The objective of every business is to acquire customers and cultivate loyalty and satisfaction amongst those customers over time so that they remain lifetime customers for life. And this is the ultimate objective of any business. And if you can do that, then the rest, other things will follow, like the ability to earn revenue and the ability to cross-sell and upsell and so forth.
Right.
So I think step one is sort of gaining an awareness about what you want to accomplish, the idea of aiming for lifetime customers, and from there I think it's about understanding what drives the world today with regard from a customer point of view. And what I think and what we talk about in the book Connect, for which I'm a co-author, is that the quality of the customer experience has a big impact on the outcome of what customers do. And very often businesses, they tend to take a perspective, a business centric view on what to do. They want to sell certain products because that's their objective. It's not necessarily what a customer needs at that given moment. So the quality of the customer experience is quite essential, and research shows this as well. I could talk about that a little bit.
All right. Has technology changed the last few years to help us do this?
I think that there's a couple things happening. That one is that because the connected customer, as we hear, we're all connected customers. We all have this ability to, go on decision journeys using different devices, using different sources of information, different type, social, which translates into digital channels in many ways. And those that we talk to, our friends, our colleagues, they're doing the same thing. So there's a lot of noise out there, and because we're empowered as connected customers, we have the ability to cut through the noise and make our own choices, and we can disregard something that we don't find relevant or meaningful, and we can move towards something that we do. So it's much more about the quality than the quantity. From a technology point of view, I think those who provide technology and use technology to provide customer experiences are finding that it's not about the quantity of the experiences, it's about the quality. And very often, businesses measure success in terms of the quantity. How many did we reach? How many converted? Instead of trying to measure what was the quality of each visit, the quality of each touch, using a metric, an engagement metric that's based on quality. And that's something that we think is very important. So technology is evolving, we think, towards customer-centric, trying to be customer-centric and measure the quality of customer experiences.
Okay. You talked about two things, machine learning and predictive personalization. Can you explain a little, short?
Yeah. So I will say that I really like to take, instead of a technology angle, I like to take more of like a customer sort of view of the world, and what do we need to do from a customer point of view. But in this case, we decided to take a sort of technology angle. So the upshot of what I talked about here today is that what we think is essential is that you're able to, what happens in the moment is extremely important. And because we're connected customers, the data that we reveal in the moment, through the interactions, like simply, visiting a page on a website or a set of pages, we're actually, that data that we're sharing is very powerful and reveals, the type of where we are in the where we are on our decision journey, and how close we are to making a decision. As we get closer, the type of data that we reveal is actually more powerful to try to, is more revealing of what the intent is, what the decision might be. And if you are a business and you want to influence that decision, having the ability to tap into data that's revealed in the moment, we think is quite essential. And being able to do that from a single view of the customer perspective, we think is quite essential. Now, as I talked about, like the ultimate, for any business, is to acquire lifetime customers. And one of the reasons that one of the drivers for that, we think, and others do as well, is if we can anticipate the needs of a customer, almost to the point before they even know it themselves, and be able to provide experiences that are anticipating the needs of customers, not in a way that's overbearing, but in a way where you have the option, to take those choices should you want to as a customer. We think that's the ultimate, So when you combine like what happens in the moment with the idea to provide, use big data analysis through machine learning, generate predictions, so that as that in the moment behavior evolves, as the experience evolves, and you want to be able to select from a wide variety of things to do at that moment, and that's what machine learning lets you do. It lets you basically use a lot of what's happened in the past, generate a lot of things that might be needed in the future, and then be able to have all those possibilities on hand, immediately accessible as an experience evolves. So it's a combination of being able to act on the predictive data as well as to actually generate predictions itself.
Do you have some practicals companies can do right now?
Yeah, I think that as I talked about, in the past 6 months, 12 months, there's the number of cloud-based machine learning offerings has dramatically increased. Microsoft Cloud ML is a good example. It was in beta testing for a year or whatever, closed availability. A month ago, it was released as a product. Products like that one are sort of changing the game. What took a big investment and a lot of time to program in the past, it took months to be able to generate predictions. Now, because the tools are flexible, they're available at lower cost, $100 per seat per month for a cloud environment, plus usage. But that's a total new value proposition. Plus the fact that they're in the cloud, so you don't have the upfront investment, and you're able to use APIs to get data in and get data out of these environments. So, we and others think that that in itself is going to become more and more accessible and used by businesses. And what I'm suggesting here, using in-the-moment behavior together with machine learning, I haven't seen it talked about. Probably others are talking about it, but in the context of customer experience, it's really one of the best ways to provide high quality experience.
Okay. Do you have an example of a company who is doing this?
Yeah. So I talked about we work with banks, insurance companies, a particular a savings fund, a pension fund investor, where they want to use predictive data together with real-time profiling to be able to provide the best self-service tools for individuals who are saving money for retirement. Those individuals might be in different stages of their life. They started working, they have a little bit saved up. In their mid-career, they have more saved up. They're close to retirement, they have even more saved up. They want to understand how they can use it, how they can invest it, how they can grow that. And being able to understand when they visit the website, what their interest is, on how they get profiled, in combination with predictive data that's been generated in the back end, to suggest this type of investment tools that are most, and self-service tools that are most relevant for a given stage in life cycle. So that's an example of a type of company that's using it. You see also in food service industry, I mentioned before Microsoft Cloud ML, there's an interesting case story of a business that serves companies like restaurants and private cafeterias with food service products, and there are other retailers and wholesalers that do this as well that we work with. They want to understand how can we provide the best cross-sell and upsell opportunities to our customers based on what they've done in the past. So so they do something called cohort analysis. They look at they identify patterns based on past behavior, so that when a customer in the moment sort of emerges with a given behavior, they can then predict the most relevant types of products to cross-sell and upsell to these food services companies. That's another example.
Should companies invest in experts in data?
Yeah,
data mining?
Yeah, no doubt that if you want to build a machine learning application, then you need someone who's qualified to do that. Typically a data scientist or whatever machine learning expert, And there is of course, it's a very mathematics-driven field, but it's a real classic merge of business and technology where you could start with a very business-oriented hypothesis. You know, we're an insurance company and we want to understand should we call who should we call, who should we email, who should we send a letter, who should we target on inbound marketing for given insurance products. So, and on the other hand, a data mining specialist or a machine learning specialist can do cohort analysis by looking at what's happened in the past with other customers, identify similarities so that when a potential customer emerges in a channel, phone center or online channel, then either the content and call to action that are most relevant are presented, or the person who is doing the phoning knows the type of product to cross-sell and upsell. So examples like financial credit cards and so forth.
Last question. What should companies do in the future? Not today, but how will it work in the future?
Yeah.
Do you think? You told me.
Yeah, I'm not a futurist, I'm a todayist, as I said there. I think that understanding how to create more relevancy for customers. There are easy ways to do that today, using personalization. So, if-then personalization. So if a visitor clicks on a certain campaign when they visit a website, then you can relate the content and the calls to action that they're presented with, based on the content of the ad that attracted them. What was the messaging that attracted them? And try to create some consistency in the experience. So companies can begin to understand what is the effect of working with personalization today, and there's some very nice benefits to doing that, and get a feel for, over time, how do we create a dialogue through digital with customers so that we can find the right level of relevancy, so that when we really want to turn up the volume using predictions, for example, that we've developed a sort of instinct and understand the techniques and so forth from a communication point of view, because it is, at the end of the day, people who are being communicated with, and relevancy takes all sorts of forms. So it's a real combination of art and science.
All right.
Thank you.